Tommy, I want to speak directly to you, Mr. McMurtry. Now, I don't know if you're sexually attracted to pumpkins. See that? Does that turn you on, Tommy? But if you are, it's alright. It's alright, baby. You can engage in your man-vegetable love. Just don't, if you borrow Cupcake Powell's colander so you don't spill your seed, make sure you wash it before you bring it back. Otherwise, that's just nasty, you know what I mean? What's up, everybody? Geoff Cooper here. Blue Collar Heathen. We're at an outside edition. We're hanging out at the household, right? Just chilling on my porch. I know, I realize I'm late to the party, right? I'm late to the party. I should have weighed in last week. And I apologize that I haven't. I do. I apologize. I want my silence, at least video silence on this, to be taken as a unwillingness to participate in the discussion that has been going along. And I think if you see me on Twitter, I would think that you would be able to figure out where my support lies with regards to the new independent fundamentalist Baptists, Stephen Anderson, Tommy McMurtry, Cupcake, the Snake Powell, and whatever that other douche rocket is. See, these guys, these scumbag pieces of shit, it makes me mad. It makes me fucking mad, you know? It makes me mad because it's like this, right? This country, right? This is the United States of America. And these guys are attempting to circumvent the Constitution of the United States of America to make their Bible and their interpretation of their Bible and biblical law the law of the land. Now, this is in direct violation of the Establishment Clause of the Constitution. Yet they want to do this. And that doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't sit right. That doesn't sit right. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. You can't do that, right? Because here's the thing, though. I mean, they want it to be their interpretation of their Bible, and they're King James only, right? I mean, Anderson, he's got 1611 after his name, on his handles and shit, and that was when the King James Bible was first published. I mean, we know what he's talking about, right? It's when it was that project, sponsored by James the, what was he, 4th, 6th? There's a V and an I in there, of Scotland, and then James the First of England, right? He was the same guy. He was trying to unify these English-speaking people, and a great way to do that would be to, have a single Bible, in English, for them. I mean, that's why it was done. I mean, he was a statesman. He had his problems, for sure. He had his problems, but I get what he was trying to do. It's a way to unify a couple of thrones. I can dig that. But You know, it's interesting that they choose the King James version of the Bible, because homeboy was bisexual, which, you know, has always amused the shit out of me that these guys, you know, these homophobic bigots, you know, we're sitting there saying, oh, King James only. I'm like, King James suck cock. What the fuck are you talking about? Your shit doesn't even make any sense unto itself, man. They do. They make me fucking giggle. But they're fucking dangerous. They're dangerous because, you know, they are trying to, you know, make no mistake about it. Now, make no mistake about it, they are trying to circumvent or abolish the Constitution of the United States. Now, that means something to me just as a citizen, okay? I've never served in the military. I never had to take an oath to protect the United States and its Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. I've never had to do that, okay? I do, however, come from a very strong military family. You know, I had, unlike this guy that lives down at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in D.C., you know, I had some legit medical problems where, you know, I wasn't eligible. You know, I had asthma. I've had, you know, foot surgeries. I've had hand surgeries. You know, I was pretty jacked up by the time I got to the age of enlistment. So it wasn't in the cards for me. I couldn't serve. But, you know, my family did. And I'll put it like this, man. All right, I was 15 before I figured out the guy that always showed up at Thanksgiving, all right, that was actually my grandfather. Because I've only heard him referred to as Colonel or Sir. My mom says, yeah, your Grandpa Bob. I'm like, who the fuck is that? I don't know who he is. The Colonel. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, now I get it. My family's been on this continent for almost 400 years at this point. Yeah, we were one of the colonials. Okay? Connecticut wasn't a thing yet. Vermont wasn't a thing yet. When my family, both sides of my family, first got here. So, I guess what I'm getting at is the Constitution in this country means something to me, just as a citizen. And that the NIFB wants the American government, wants the United States government, the U.S. government, to kill people that they choose worthy of death for what is not a crime here. It is not a crime. Homosexuality is not a crime. Okay? And another thing on that, you know what? Another thing on that, I mean, homosexuality, for me, it goes like this. I didn't understand it, all right? I didn't understand it. You know, it was always couched to me in terms of sex, right? And it was sex that I didn't want. It was sex that didn't turn me on. It was sex that I didn't understand, okay? And being as it didn't do anything for me, I couldn't figure out how it could do anything for anybody else. It just wasn't cool. Or so I thought. And I found out through life, through talking with people, through hanging out with people, through meeting people, you know, that it's not about sex. And you know when it clicked for me? You know when it clicked? I was living in this apartment building, right? And it was a small apartment building. It was like a quadplex, right? So there was 4 apartments in it. And there was another one next door. And I lived on the bottom down here, and then across the way, next door, there was the girl on the top apartment. She was cute, and we hung out and everything. And I asked her out, and and I found out she's not into guys. All right, but we still had to live next to each other, and we were still friendly. And I got to meet her girlfriend. I lived there for a while. I got to meet her girlfriend, and it was cool. We'd be grilling. They'd come over for burgers and shit like that. We worked on cars, and we went to shows and shit together. I mean, we had a good time. It was fine. And so she had quit smoking, right? She quit smoking. And then I come out one morning, and I'm hanging out, and she's up on her front porch, sitting there smoking a cigarette. And I was like, "What are you doing? I thought you quit. I thought you quit." And I looked at her, and she was crying and shit. So I go over, and I'm like, "What's the matter? What happened? What's going on?" And she was smoking because, well, long story short, it's her story. It's not my place to tell. But long story short, her and her girlfriend broke up. She was heartbroken. It took, and I'm embarrassed to say now, that it took that instant, it took that moment for me to really get it. That homosexuality and bisexuality and, all of the different, sexual orientations or romantic identities that somebody can have, it doesn't hurt any less when they break up. That's a commonality. And if that's a commonality, love's a commonality too. And how are you going to condemn that? And if you can condemn that, man, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. You're just fucked up. But you're allowed to be fucked up in this country, I guess. I mean, that's what, you can have all the bad ideas that you want until you go hurting people. But where I'm really going to take an issue is when you try to change that Constitution to fit your particular prejudices. That ain't going to sit right with me. I don't think. Even the colonel. Now he was a bit of a bigoted asshole. Okay. But even he, I don't think he would I don't think that he would accept the Constitution being changed to include Leviticus. I'm pretty extra special sure he'd pick up an M1 on that. I'm pretty extra special sure he would. So, I guess what I'm saying is, to the people that don't understand homosexuality, you don't have to. If you're straight, you don't have to. You don't have to think of it in terms of sex, because it's not. I know what love is. I know how much it can hurt when it's gone or taken from you. That pretty much is a summation of it all. The pain that you feel is proportionate to the love that you had when the relationship was ongoing. And that doesn't change whether your relationship is, between a man and a woman, or a pair of men, or a pair of women, or multiple partners, or whatever. It doesn't it doesn't change. It doesn't change. You know, it doesn't. Love is love. And, you know, sex ought to be, alright, it's fun. Alright? I don't know, maybe, you know what, maybe even me being straight, you know, maybe I'm one of them sodomites, alright? Because, you know, between you and me and the proverbial fence post, I got a fence post over there, alright? Between you, me, and that fence post over there, you know, I like getting head. So, I mean, you know, am I a sodomite for getting a blowjob every now and then? Seriously? If I can't get head under Leviticus, fuck that. Alright, I'm rambling. This is going to be like a cut, you know. I'm going to be doing multiple cuts here. I don't give a shit. Just, as long as it's between consenting adults, I don't see what the problem is. I really, truly don't. I don't get it. I don't see why you have to have a conference again, why you have to celebrate when people are killed, man. You know, the terror attack in Orlando in 2016, you know, 49 people were murdered. And, you know, these guys celebrate that? No, they're pieces of shit. They're pieces of shit. And to use that as a recruiting tactic for that thing, I mean, what's the difference between them and the Taliban? So, I mean, really, the thing is, if these guys were Persian descent, right? I mean, if they were Persian or Arab, right? And instead of Steven Anderson, it was Al-Estevan Ben Anden. Right? They'd have this motherfucker's face on a goddamn playing card, and they'd be handing it out to the 82nd Airborne, and they'd be looking for the son of a bitch in some cave in Afghanistan or something. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be using his cell phone because he'd be afraid he'd get a Hellfire missile up his ass. You know, but, you know, that type of fundamentalism, that's the type of fundamentalism that this guy is preaching. He's barred from 32 countries. And I'm not talking like, you know, like these, you know, weird theocracies, you know, over the globe. I'm talking like countries like Canada. Fucking Canada, right? I mean, these guys say sorry in such a, like, they say that like I say fuck. I mean, like, Canadians are like the nicest people on the freaking planet, you know, as a culture. And, I mean, how much of a piece of shit do you have to be barred from entering Canada? What the fuck? Like, I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. I don't get why these people are getting a pass. Why more people aren't speaking out about this. Now, there's a great many YouTubers that have spilled a lot of ink and filled up many SD cards with footage and videos about this subject and about these people. Okay? Now, I'm hesitant to list any of them because I don't want to forget anybody, because I know so many people have done great work on this. Okay? But I'm going to point you to a couple. And anyone else that has been speaking on this, you know, dig them too. Okay? Dig them too. But I'm going to point you to a couple. First off, Mr. Atheist. Alright? Go down. I'll leave a link to his channel in there. The other one is the Non Sequitur Show. Okay? And another one is Shannon Q. All three of them have been working tirelessly to expose this bullshit. Now I know there's, you know, Ocean has had a video, Godless Engineer has had a video, Godless Strayan has had a video. You know, that's what I was saying. I'm hesitant to mention anyone, you know, for fear of forgetting anybody. But, you know, check out the people I mentioned, all right? Those, I think that from there, I think, you know, I know Shannon always gives great links and great resources in her videos, so, you know, definitely go check out some of hers. Just try not to tear up when her voice starts cracking. See if you can do that, because I can't. So I guess the takeaway is that no matter what these guys say, no matter what these guys preach, okay, homosexuality is not a crime. It's not a fucking crime in this country. You know, it's not a crime to be bi. It's not a crime to be gay. It's not a crime to be transsexual. It's not a crime to fit into any of the gender, sexual, or romantic minorities. It's not a crime. It can't be a crime. The Constitution stands in the way. And I would think that any American that gives a shit, that understands and gives a shit about this country and about that Constitution, has a duty to stand up and say something. Whether you served in the military or not, it's still us that's affected. It's still we, the people. You know, it just pisses me off, these guys. They hide under the protections of the Constitution and then want to throw it away. That to me is gutless. They're gutless. They're gutless fucking bullies. You know, they're gutless bullies. You know, when I was a kid, I grew up in New York, if you couldn't tell. When I was a kid, you know, if there was a bully in the neighborhood, you know, picking on smaller and weaker kids, he might get away with it once. He might get away with it once. He might even get away with it twice. But the third time, when he started making a habit out of picking on the same kid, see, what happened then, now this was back, the world was a different time then, right? Things were different. Now, I'm not advocating this behavior. I'm just describing what happened, all right? This is not advocating for this behavior. I just want to explain where I'm coming from with it, all right, when it comes to bullies. Okay, because this was my, you know, this is how I look at it. All right, so back in the day, all right, if a kid was picking on a smaller kid and it became a habit out of it, all right, what we would do, the kids that were getting picked on, all right, we'd wind up jumping him and beating the shit out of him. Then we'd take his shoes off, tie the laces together, take him, sling him up over the power lines, send his ass home after he got his ass kicked without his sneakers. He did that to a couple of people. Really kind of drove the point home that we're not going to take your shit. You see, that to me is kind of what America is and kind of what America does, or should do. What we used to do. When the fourth largest military in the world invaded Kuwait, a smaller, weaker nation, we sent some badass from Trenton, New Jersey in there. Build up, and then he goes and moves like whole divisions of shit hundreds of miles into the desert to flank these guys, and then 100 hours later, they go in, they wreck fucking shop. And then, what, a day before, Iraq had the fourth largest army in the world. Then they had the second largest army in Iraq. See? That's kind of the America that I'm talking about. Not this other shit. I don't know where the fuck they get that shit from. But the America that stood up to people that were clearly in the wrong. Like these guys. I don't know. but it's still we the people, and you're not going to make Leviticus law of this land. Not in my fucking name.